Hello and welcome. This is the Zen community of Oregon, making the teachings of the Buddha Dharma accessible to support your practice. New episodes air every week.
I take refuge in the Buddha, our own awakened nature. I take refuge in the Dharma, the teachings that point to truth, that are lived. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community that comes together to celebrate wisdom and compassion and see for ourselves. Good afternoon, everyone. This afternoon, I would like to talk about how to fall in love with the world. It is a pleasure to be sharing this retreat with you. Everyone is doing so well. Everyone is doing their best. Everyone is learning. We're learning about what it means to live as a human being. We are awakening to what it is to be fully human. As Myoyu talked about yesterday, we're often confused about this. It's hard to be a human being. And this confusion comes from there's many sources, as she talked about. This confusion comes from the overemphasis on certain aspects of our experience. People, places, events ought to line up with my opinions, and they don't. And therefore, I feel anxiety, anger, righteousness. We set a standard for ourselves and others. And when they don't align with our standard, what happens? When we don't align with our own standard, what happens? Some of us set a perfect standard, the perfect meditation. We set a perfect standard for ourselves and others, and then we measure ourselves and others against that idea. When we find ourselves coming up short, we push and then criticize ourselves. All the while, reality is vibrant and luminous. And we're caught, tangled with some idea about reality, some idea about our life. We become attached to, another way this happens is we become attached to, I know. I know. One of the things that happens when we sit down to meditate is that we see how confused things can be for us. We begin to see this process. And that can be upsetting. But this is good. This is meditation practice too. The old masters said, turn the light and shine it inward. Turn the light and shine it inward. So in meditation, we can look directly at the way the mind is operating and see these habitual ways. These habits of mind, these habits of reactivity, how we react to the world. The mind becomes conditioned over time to respond in this way, in certain ways. We all have our unique recipe, but a lot of the ingredients are similar. Responding with either grasping, trying to hold on to things, trying to keep things the way that we want, or pushing away, aversion. I don't like this. And as Myoyu said yesterday, some of this conditioning may be generational. Habits of mind, habits of ways to relate to the world that goes back generations. I know for myself, there are some of the things that I've worked with as I've meditated and got to know my mind are similar ways that my mother responded to the world. And I know that based on conversations with my mother before she passed away, there are ways that my grandmother, her mother, so how far does this go back? So this is not a matter of blame or looking for problems. This is a matter of discovery. Discovering what perhaps was hidden or operating below the level of consciousness, or operating and we feel stuck in it. One of the wonderful things about meditation is that when we're meditating and we see when these things arise, we don't have to try and conjure them up. There's already space. We're already disentangled. Because if we see the mind operating self-criticism or reactivity or something, and we recognize it, there's already space. And that space creates the opportunity for learning. And that is beautiful. So these thoughts, this over-involvement in our thinking, these habits of mind, these habits of reaction, reactivity, they cover our world. They disguise, they hide, they impede, they hinder our ability to connect. What happens is we have ideas about the person in front of us, but that's not the person. But when we believe our ideas about the person, that becomes the person. And so we're disconnected. One description of this phenomena that's used in Dharma is thought coverings. Our ideas about reality cloud our experience of the things around us. An example of how this happens is hearing the morning bird song. We hear the sound. We have a feeling tone about it. positive, negative, or neutral. And then we might think robin or raven, or I wonder what kind of bird that is. I'll have to look it up. Maybe I can sneak my phone during the break and use that app I have. So now where's the bird song? Where's that bird? In a way, even thinking bird takes us out of the experience. And so this is just an example. This is just an example of how it operates. So thoughts are not a problem. It's an important thing to underline. Thoughts are not a problem. Having thoughts is not failing at meditation. And one of the things we're doing in meditation is changing our relationship with thought. We do that by de-emphasizing thought and turning our attention to the direct, and we do that by turning our attention to the direct experience of the body. Coolness of the in-breath, warmth of the out-breath, changing pressure, the flowing touches of clothing on the body as the body moves, as it breathes. And what happens is this creates an opportunity, it is the condition for mind and heart to calm. And when mind and heart are calm, we have more and more clarity. From Ayakema, who was a 20th century Theravadan Buddhist nun. We chanted her name in the women's lineage this morning. She's talking about meditation, and she says, this is a way to gain insight, to be used not while the mind stays on the breath, but while it is reacting to feelings or thinking. Every moment can be used to gain insight, and from that, calm arises. A bit of insight creates a bit of calm. A bit of calm creates a bit of insight. When we see that we don't need to pay attention to our thoughts, it becomes easier to drop them. When we see we don't have to react to feelings, it is much easier to drop the reaction. A bit of calm also creates a bit of insight, and both have to be used. The teaching of the Buddha goes against the current of our own instincts and is not easy to understand. The mind which can grasp it is a mind which has been trained. To actually experience inside oneself what the Buddha talked about needs a mind that has become calmer and more concentrated than usual, and has seen itself for what it is, just arising and passing phenomena. It needs a mind that has become calmer and more concentrated than usual. And that's what we are doing as we practice meditation over and over again, rather than staying caught. We notice when we're caught. Sometimes that happens quickly. Sometimes that happens after a whole period. We simply notice and return. That is the practice. When I was early in practice, I thought, success is never leaving. the method. That's a mistake. That's the perfectionist. The practice is coming back. It's noticing. It's noticing coming back. All this can happen, she goes on to say, all this happens while sitting here trying to watch the breath, calm and insight. Insight is the aim, calm is the means. She says goal, insight is the goal. But it sounds like that's something that you kind of get. I think it's better to think of insight as the aim. Calm is the means. As long as there is no calm in the mind, there are waves of like and dislike. And these waves obscure our vision. And this is what I was talking about in terms of obscuring our vision about the way things are. So one of the ways to have that we practice encouraging, nurturing, calm, and insight is by practicing metta, loving kindness. Metta, spelled M-E-T-T-A, often translated as loving kindness, is an aspect of the heart and mind. It's one of the four immeasurables, qualities of our heart, qualities of the human heart, the human mind, that are nourished in our practice. Metta, along with loving kindness, along with compassion, sympathetic joy, in other words, joy in others, and equanimity are called the Brahma Viharas, divine abodes. Also the four immeasurables. So metta is not an emotion. Loving kindness is not an emotion, although emotion can be present. Sometimes we feel an emotion is temporary. Well, everything is temporary in some respects. Things are constantly flowing. Although emotion can be present, sometimes we feel loving, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we feel friendly, sometimes not. Metta is not a thought, but we can utilize thought in its practice. It's also important to realize that loving kindness is not a thing. It's not something we have to go get. It's something that we wake up to. It's something that we realize is there. All we have to do is look. And metta can be cultivated and thus revealed. So with metta, loving kindness, we turned our mind towards friendliness. We turn our mind towards friendliness. This is the cultivation. So just like adding to soil, amending soil in the garden, watering, weeding, pruning, we create the conditions that are ideal for life to thrive. We create conditions for the plant to thrive. In the same way, active cultivation through our practice of loving kindness creates the conditions for our relating to the world from a place of kindness. And in this way, we can transform our relationship to others, to our world, and to ourselves. It's a way of taking responsibility for our own heart, our own mind. So, do we want more peace in the world? Be someone who's peaceful. If you're a peaceful person, there's more peace in the world. Do you want more love in your life? I know I do, right? Do you want more love in your life? Yes. Be a loving person. Do you want someone to love you? You can be that person. You can be that person who loves you. We open to aspects of the heart mind that is always present and indeed everywhere and always available to us. And it takes cultivation. Ayakema says, the heart needs training because by nature it isn't constituted to always feel loving kindness. By nature it contains both love and hate. It contains ill will, rejection, resentment, and fear, and also lovingness. But unless we diminish the hate, the judgment, and enlarge the love by doing something about it in our daily life, we have no chance of experiencing that peaceful feeling which loving kindness generates in the heart. By welcoming our experience, we begin to dissolve the walls of the mind that create the illusion of duality and have us feel separate. So the Metta Sutta that we chanted at noon says, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none. No being is left out. None. And that includes you. And we can get tangled when we practice metta. Do I deserve it or not? If you only knew, you would see, I don't deserve friendliness. In the light of loving kindness, in the light of metta, it doesn't matter, do I deserve it or not? The question itself is irrelevant. Did you do what I want? Irrelevant. Do you agree with me? Irrelevant. Metta is the aspect of the heart that has no agenda, no conditions. So in this way, metta is unconditional love. Unconditional love. Here's how the Metta Sutta says it. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart can one cherish all living beings. This is our potential. This is what we are capable of as we become more and more skilled in goodness, as the beginning of this Metta Sutta says. This is what should be done. This is what is done by one who is skilled in goodness. They wish in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. whatever living beings there may be, omitting none. And we become familiarized with this. We become skilled at this. We learn about it through practice. Those of us who are standard setters, perfectionists, this is not about creating some standard. This is about an invitation to explore this aspect of your heart. Again, as Ayakema said, the heart needs training because by nature, it's the default mode because of our own, the bumps and bruises of living a human life, our overemphasis on our conceptual relating to the world covers over this. She says, having love in one's heart, unconditional love for others, creates security in the heart. How would that be so? How does unconditional love for others create security in our own heart? She says, answers this question, it's because one knows how one is going to react. One can rely on oneself. One is totally reliable, having no fear. One knows that one is trained to the point where there isn't going to be reactivity of hate or anger, not even a little to mar our peacefulness, mar our calm. This is the first and foremost great result of having cultivated loving kindness in one's heart. So the heart becomes unshakable. Unshakable. As she goes on to say, now this is easy. So we're going to do a little bit of a meditation. Now one of the things that we do in training is that we, if you go to the gym and you're, we challenge ourselves, right? If you're going to train, it's helpful to have challenge. So this is why when we do loving kindness practice, we practice with different kinds of beings. And a lot of us find that it's a lot easier to feel loving towards the non-human realm, right? It's easy to do loving kindness to a puppy. But they're included. So it's helpful in training to practice loving kindness towards all kinds of beings. And when we're confronted with someone who's difficult to be friendly towards, that's an excellent way opportunity to practice. We get to see where we're our edges, which again we're learning.
Thank you for listening to the Zen Community of Oregon podcast, and thank you for your practice. New episodes air every week. Please consider making a donation at zendust.org. Your support supports us.